Hey everyone, this is Teo. In today's video, I am going to color this sketch that I drew a few days ago in Chinatown. I wasn't able to paint this on that day because the sun was setting. It was getting dark really quickly. So today I'm going to paint this with watercolor at home. Something like this is going to take me around more than 1 hour to paint because this is actually quite a large piece of work. And if I were to draw and paint this on location, it may take me up to 3 to 4 hours. So this is the whole sketch. And if you haven't checked out my video, the video that I made while I was sketching this, you can check out the link in the video description below to watch that video. Alright, let me show you the tools that I'm going to use today. This is the Sennelier Mini Aqua set. I'll be using these colors with this palette because this box is not great for mixing colors. I have my two watercolor brushes. This is the Novskaya Palitra Sable brush, and this below, this is a size 10 Escoda Ultimo brush with synthetic squirrel hair. Before I start, let me show you the reference photos that I have taken. Chinatown was really crowded, so there's going to be a lot to paint later on. Painting something like this is going to require a lot of patience. And if you're actually drawing on location, all these people will be moving around. It's very difficult to draw moving people unless you are so familiar with drawing people that you can draw them without looking. So this is another photo. So notice that that particular day, it's a very cloudy day, so there are no strong shadows. So there are a lot of colors, but the stronger colors would be red. And we have this large portion here, which is sort of like gray. So I'm going to color the big areas first and then work my way to the smaller areas. I'm going to start by putting some water on the ground first before I paint it with ultramarine and burnt umber. This is where using a large squirrel brush will help a lot. I noticed that some of the ink, it hasn't dried yet. Once again, this is the problem with using Noodler's bulletproof black ink. On certain paper, they just cannot dry well. So after this last bottle of bulletproof ink, I am going to switch to using other brands like Sailor, Kiwaguro, or the Platinum Carbon. Now that the paper is wet, I can paint the grays onto the ground. Now by right, the paper should be tilted to let the watercolor flow, but because it's very difficult for me to hold this paper in an upright position, so the water is flowing in the wrong direction. They are flowing into the gutter. I think I see some red on the ground as well, so I want to mix in some red as well. But not too much. This is too much water. Let me just pick up some of the excess water. This is way too much. So when the wash is wet, I charge in the extra color, the red color, just to give it some variation. So this is what I have so far. I have painted the ground, I have painted some of the clothes for the people on the street, and also the shadow areas. Basically anything that is going to be much darker later on, anything that is going to be in the shadow, I have sort of glazed it over with a light wash. So now I'm going to paint the trees. For the trees, I will be using sap green and ultramarine. So sap green looks like this, and with ultramarine, the green will appear to be darker, especially at the bottom area where the light wasn't able to get through. We'll add the shadows for the trees later on. Now I want to wash my brush and use the next color, which is going to be yellow, and also I want to paint the skin tone for all these people here. So let's go with yellow. painting the people. Make sure that I get all the areas that I need to paint. Now this sketchbook that I'm using, this is the Sennelier USK book. This is the one with the green cover. There are two versions of the USK book. This is the one with the green cover. And the difference between the green cover and the red cover is, the green cover and the black cover is, well, the black cover uses those cellulose paper, while the green color uses 100% cotton paper. Someone was asking me about talking and painting at the same time. Well, I cannot talk and paint at the same time. I'm prone to making mistakes. Unless I'm already on the autopilot mode. The thing with painting is sometimes when you are painting or drawing, you are really in the zone, and it's very difficult to, get the language part of the brain to be working properly. So sometimes when you are talking to people who are sketching or who are painting, they may not actually hear you. This is very thirsty paper, so I need to use a lot of water, and I need to prepare a good amount of mixture before I start painting. If not, I may run out of paint. I'm now actually painting the shadow areas in the background. So this is a red signboard. And for the backgrounds here, this will be ultramarine mixed with burnt umber mixed with this red here. This is just Payne's gray, just to darken this pair of jeans that she's wearing. The sketch is slowly coming to life, so now I'm going to add in more shadows to give this sketch more contrast. Now I'm just using Payne's gray to paint in some of the really dark areas, the areas that are close to black. For the shadows of the tree, I'm going to be using burnt umber and ultramarine. Sometimes drawing, it's not about whether you can draw or not. It's about whether you have the patience to go and draw. So for example, with this particular piece, this is very challenging because it's a very large piece to draw and paint. But if you put your mind to it, if you really concentrate, I'm sure you can do it. So you just have to draw slowly, bit by bit, and soon you will be able to complete the sketch. These Derwent graphic line painters, they are fantastic for adding details. This is the Uniboss Signal gel pen, broad. Just want to add some details. This is very useful. I can even add another light here. Some of these lines are actually white in color. The cable lines that go in front of the stores. With this pen, I can add a fluorescent light here, maybe a light bulb here. Let's have a bit more details for the signboards. Let me show you the sketch in its entirety. So this probably took me around 1.5 hours to paint. So here's a closer look. One of the main challenges of painting such a large piece is, as mentioned earlier, you need to have the patience. And to keep the colors in harmony, I used a limited color palette. If you use too many colors for mixing, it's going to get out of control pretty quickly unless you are really good at painting. Let's take a look at the details. So for this housing block here, I did not draw all the windows. I only drew a few windows to let me know that, to remind me that there are windows there. So for most of the windows, I just painted with watercolor. We have the trees, we have some lighting decorations, we have a lot of people in the background. So for people in the background, you don't really need a lot of details. You just need to draw a few lines to suggest that there are people there. But as the people move into the foreground, you need to have more details. You need to draw some facial features. If not, it's just going to be a blank circle or oval. So it's good to mix the size of people in your scene. So some people will be in the background, they are smaller. Some will be in the foreground, they are larger. And when you mix small and large, it gives variety to your sketch. It makes it more interesting rather than have all the elements at the same size. I remember drawing this lady who was wearing a long red dress and she was wearing high heels. And she was also pushing around her baby in this pram. It was really crowded in Chinatown, so it must have been really difficult to move around like this. Even for me, I had difficulty walking. So for people who have prams or moving around in wheelchairs, it's very challenging to navigate around Chinatown. So we have some stalls selling Chinese New Year goodies, people taking photographs. These are bananas. This stall was selling some fruits, some bananas. This guy was wearing his bag in front of him. And this guy here is taking a selfie with a selfie stick. More people in the background. One of the fun things about watercolor is how the colors actually blend together. So for example, with this dress of this lady, I did not actually paint the dress. The color is actually from the same color that I used to paint the ground. So even though I did not paint the dress, it still looks quite nice. So we have another interesting shape here, this black shape, this connected shape. This is also sort of like one wash. So when you have these connected shapes like this, it kind of looks interesting here as well. And here as well, we have this large red connected shape. I am pretty satisfied with this sketch, and this sketchbook that I'm using, this Sinalia USK book, the one with the green cover, this has 100% cotton paper and this works really well with watercolor. I see the colors, they can blend very nicely with wet on wet techniques. By the way, I have a separate review just for this sketchbook. The link will be in the video description below. You can check it out as well. I may actually buy more of these sketchbooks in the future. It's great. Alright, so that's all for today's video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Yep, thanks for watching. I hope this video is helpful. See you in the next one. Bye!